This newsreel is being brought to you by the Robertson County Funeral Home, serving Robertson County for a quarter century. So where did the governor decide to kick off his Highway Safety Office Click It or Ticket campaign? Right here in Robertson County. And Smokey's cameras were rolling for the entire event. We're going to let you see it unedited and uninterrupted.
Good evening. We want to thank you for being here this beautiful evening in Robertson County, here at the Robertson County Courthouse. We want to welcome all of you members of the media and distinguished guests. We want to thank you for your attendance as we kick off the Governor's Highway Safety Office Click It or Ticket campaign. As you can see, there are several agencies represented here today all across Middle Tennessee, all the way from the Alabama line, all the way through to Robertson County. I know from experience that the Robertson County Sheriff's Department and the Springfield Police Department, along with all the other agencies here, are dedicated to the safety of the citizens that travel on their roadways. Though our uniforms may be different, we all have a common purpose for meeting here today, and that is the safety of those traveling on Tennessee roadways during the Memorial Day weekend and over the week to come. During these times, we strive to get our message across, especially during these holiday times when our highways are full of those traveling to and from across the great state of Tennessee. Today, you're going to hear from someone who knows firsthand the importance of wearing your seatbelt and the pain of losing loved ones due to a car accident. Safety experts across the state of Tennessee strive constantly to make our highways safer. The Governor's Highway Safety Office funds and participates and puts together campaigns, extra boots on the ground, money to work overtime and equipment. Our car manufacturers work hard at making sure that our vehicles are safe. But no matter how good our roadways are, no matter how safe your vehicle is, no matter how much we can educate the public or how many boots we can put on the ground, the choice is yours. And that's the message that we want to get out. The choice is yours to wear your seatbelt. The choice is yours to drive safely and soberly and responsibly in order that you and your loved ones arrive safely over this holiday weekend. Our focus over this Memorial Day weekend and during the weeks to come is very clear. If you choose to drive without your seatbelt, we're going to be looking for you and you'll receive a citation. If you're driving impaired due to alcohol or drugs, we're looking for you. You will be the focus of law enforcement, not only from the Middle Tennessee perspective and the agencies represented here, but all across the great state of Tennessee. We will find you, we'll stop you, we'll arrest you, and we will prosecute you. The Tennessee Highway Patrol and agencies all across the state will be conducting saturation patrols, DUI checkpoints, and extra patrols, and we all have the same focus. That focus is not only for those who choose to violate the law, but also for those who choose to drive safely and responsibly. We want you to arrive at your destination safely. That is the purpose of our being here today. We're going to hear a very powerful message about why it is important to use our seatbelts, why is it important to drive responsibly. We're going to hear that today. We're so thankful in the state of Tennessee to have someone who is about safety on our roadways. I have been moved by his passion. He is a great motivator. His heart is in what he does. And a lot of what we accomplish is because of his vision and because of his goals and because of the direction he takes with the Governor's Highway Safety Office here in the state of Tennessee. I would like to introduce to you at this time Director Kendall Poole.
Thank you, Tony. Tony does a terrific job. I can tell you right now that our campaigns and our participation all across Middle Tennessee are at an all-time high, much in part due to Tony's leadership in working as a law enforcement liaison for the Governor's Highway Safety Office. Also want to point out Richard Holt is here with us today too. Richard, raise your hand. Richard heads up all of our law enforcement liaison program across the state of Tennessee. He is the administrator. These guys are going to be attending a multitude of checkpoints. I was just listening to their schedule, and we've got a multitude of checkpoints that they'll be attending. Not just Richard and Tony, but Brenda and Clint and Steve and everybody else across the state. They don't rest on holiday weekends, and these folks behind me don't rest on holiday weekends. They don't rest much at any time during the year. I look behind me, and I see guys from all the way from Ardmore, all the way up here to White House and Springfield, as Tony said. We've got people from Hohenwald, Clarksville, you name it, all across the Middle Tennessee region. And what it shows is a commitment to saving lives together. It's a partnership. Everything we do, people kind of laugh at me sometimes because I say, well, we're doing the group hug thing. Well, guess what? It works. Over the course of the last 8 years, Tennessee has seen a reduction in fatalities of over 30%. That's 30% of Tennesseans who have had their lives saved because of these ladies and gentlemen helping enforce our educational messages. See, we're all about engineering. Commissioner John Schroer and the Tennessee Department of Transportation and Education and all the booze it, lose it, click it or ticket messages that you see. But we couldn't do any of those without the enforcement. And when Tony talked about the overtime and the boots on the ground and the equipment, we want to put that money exactly where it is needed. And because of that, we have been able to save lives across the state of Tennessee. There's some things that we could do a little bit better, and I want to talk about that right now. Actually, this is the first time in 4 years this year where we have actually gotten occupant protection money, which is click it or ticket money. And all of our money comes from the federal government, from the National Highway and Traffic Safety Administration. You might have seen Governor Haslam's commercial, the seatbelt commercial that's on right now. That is one of the things that we've done. We've also put a lot more seatbelt checkpoints across the state of Tennessee. The reason is that seatbelt usage dropped for the first time in several years last year in the state of Tennessee. We're now at 83.65% of Tennesseans that are wearing their seatbelt. Our high was 87.4%. And I can tell you that you can say, okay, that means roughly 85% of Tennesseans are wearing their seatbelt, and that's a good number. Yeah, it's a pretty good number from where we've been. But here's the truth. Over half of our fatalities last year, and again so far this year, are unbelted. Now, I'm not a mathematician, but that tells me that over half of our fatalities come from 15% of our population who don't buckle up. That's why we're here today, to enforce the buckle up message, the click it or ticket message. And we want to do everything we can, not just on Memorial Day weekend, but all throughout the state of Tennessee, 365 days a year. Another bit of good news. As of today, we are 50 fatalities better than we were at this same time last year. That's pretty good. And if you equate that over to the year, that means we're going to save 100 plus lives over the number that we hit last year. And the number we had last year was our third best of all time. So we're headed in the right direction. But it's our job to make sure we keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing to save lives. I want to introduce you to two very, very special people here today. The staff, the Governor's Highway Safety Office, has had a chance to meet with them and heard their story. We wanted to be able to share their story with you, and we're very proud of their courage in light of a very, very tragic situation, and they have a very special message for you today. I want to introduce to you Megan and Brandon Bowe.
I'm Megan and this is Brandon. And before I tell you about our story that started on January 28th, I thought I would tell you a little bit about us. We met back in high school 11 years ago and started dating, decided to get married after college, started a family, wanted to live the American dream, bought a house, and on January 14th, we had our son. We already had a daughter who was born August 1st in 2009. And so our family was finally complete. We had a girl and a boy, and we were happy with our lives. And about 2 weeks later, he was 14 days old on January 28th, a man decided to cross 4 lanes of traffic here in Springfield and hit me head on. And in the car was my mom and myself. I was driving, and my daughter and our 2-week-old son. My mom had taken off the week of work, just like every mom would, to help you out with 2 kids. And all we did was run to Springfield to go to Walmart, go out to eat, and to buy my little girl a cowboy hat. Our daughter was going to have a cowboy day at preschool just 3 days later. So we left buying her a cowgirl hat. She never got to see it. She stayed in the car, and I told her that I had a surprise that she'd be able to try on when we got home. 3 days later, I woke up at Vanderbilt, and I had no idea what was happening. For whatever reason, this man decided to cross 4 lanes of traffic. We don't have a toxicology report yet. We don't know if we'll ever find out. But I can tell you that all 4 of us in our car had on our seatbelts. My 2 babies were strapped into their car seats, and we were told that they couldn't have been installed any more perfectly than what they already were. The man that hit us was not wearing his seatbelt, and he did not survive. All 4 of us in my car at least made it to the hospital. Both kids and my mom were initially taken to Northcrest while I was being cut out of the vehicle. And when they realized the severity of their injuries, they decided to life flight them to Vanderbilt. During that time, I was also life flighted to Vanderbilt. My mom did not make it that night. She died in surgery, but our daughter was put on life support. Our son only had a broken leg at 2 weeks old. We were told that our daughter would not be able to make a recovery. She had a skull fracture and a broken neck, along with several internal injuries. So we decided to take her off of life support. But before we decided to take her off, we promised her that the story was going to be heard and that we were going to make a difference. We're going to do anything that we can to make her name a miracle. If we can save one family, one child, anybody at all, then it's worth it. And that's why we're here today. Wearing your seatbelt will save your life, and I'm living proof of that. So many surgeons, so many police officers, investigators have told me that I should not have walked out. Well, I didn't walk, but now I am. I should not have survived. I was broken to pieces from my ribs down. And it's a miracle that I'm able to stand here today to get this story across. And I'm so thankful for the investigators and the police officers here in Robertson County and Springfield. I'm so thankful for the police officers around the state to help people like me and to help get this message across. If you wear your seatbelt, you have a much better chance of surviving. We were only about 5 minutes away from our house. It would have been very easy for us to just hop in the car and not strapped ourselves in. And if I would have chosen to do that, I wouldn't be here today. So it's your choice. And I want to encourage everybody to not drive impaired. Like I said, we don't have a toxicology report. We don't know what happened. But we have beliefs, and it's your choice. If you hit somebody like he hit us, you have to live with yourself. So please, take the time. Let somebody else drive this weekend. If you're drinking and partying, good luck to you. That's fine. But give somebody else your keys. Strap yourself in. And don't live with yourself and live with this pain like we have to live with this pain. That's all I have.
so appreciative of Brandon and Megan. On a personal level, I'm thankful that they have made a choice not to always look at the glass half empty, but to look at it half full. And they've made a choice not to waste their pain, but to let the voice of their daughter and their family be heard, that somebody else might live because of their pain. I am thankful for them, and I appreciate your time and allowing us, and I've been so thankful for the time I've been able to spend with them. I said before that I appreciate so much what Robertson County and Springfield does for Governor's highway safety. Springfield Police Department always is on board with whatever we're trying to do to make things better in this town and in this county and in Middle Tennessee. At this time, I want to introduce our next speaker is Chief David Thompson, Springfield Police Chief.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Megan and Brandon, first of all. I'd also like to thank all of these police officers. You see all the different departments that are represented here, because all of them are committed to making our highways safe, keeping the bad guys off the roadway, and hopefully you get to your destination safely. You know, it is the season, if you will. This is a season. It's a season of summer break. People are out of school. They're out of college, out of high school. It's a season for graduation, a season for vacations, a season for travel and fun. But as we embark upon that, as we enter this new season, it's also a season where celebrations get out of hand. It's also a season for drinking and late night partying and late nights and sleep deprivation and heavy traffic and short tempers. It's a season for crashes, for accidents, injuries, and for tragedy. And what we are all about, I mean everyone here and their organizations are all about, is doing something about that. We want you to enjoy the season, but we also want you to do so safely and cautiously. A couple of quick tips. First of all, wear your seatbelt. I don't want to hear one more person tell me about how I'm going to be thrown clear of the wreck and I'm going to miraculously survive. No, you're going to get thrown out of the car just before it rolls over and crushes you. Seatbelts save lives. I don't want to hear about it's not convenient. It rubs me the wrong way. It's too restrictive. No excuses. Wear your seatbelt. Second thing, if you consume any alcohol, don't drive. There is no safe level of alcohol in your body. If you're consuming any alcohol, don't drive. Very simple. Know the medications that you are on. Know the limitations of those medications. If you're taking things like Ambien, that's just the same as drinking alcohol, or even worse. Know the limitations on the medications that you're taking. Be patient with other drivers, especially when you get out here and it's busy and somebody cuts you off. You know, never attribute to malice what can be explained by incompetence. Okay, that means that everybody cuts you off. It's not a personal affront to you. They made a mistake. It's not time for you to exact retribution and get mad and blow your horn and shake your fist and all those kind of things. Get over it. Accidents happen. If people make mistakes, don't take it personally. And don't push the limits unnecessarily. As pretty as it is, and we all want to get to Florida or Panama City or Disney World or wherever you're going, these ideas, oh, we'll do it overnight. We'll just do it overnight. You know what? Your mind doesn't work very well at 3 o'clock in the morning. You might keep your body awake with that Red Bull, but your mind doesn't function very well. Don't make those kind of commitments. Don't make those kind of choices. We want you to visit your loved ones. We want you to explore the beauty of the outdoors, ride the rides at the theme parks, celebrate with your friends and family. We don't want you to become statistics and tragedies that are so prevalent this time of year. Thank you.
Another adjacent department that is close by here has had some unfortunate accidents in their city this year. A lot of them involving unbelted drivers and passengers. And that is the Hendersonville Police Department. At this time, I would introduce to you Lieutenant Larry Daniel, Hendersonville Police Department.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Brandon. Director Paul, Chief Thompson, and all of my brothers and sisters in uniform for being here today. This weekend, law enforcement will be conducting many types of traffic enforcement efforts. There will be speed enforcement, DUI checkpoints, saturation patrols, and high visibility patrols. And all of these efforts are going to be focused to achieve highway safety in Tennessee and reduce the number of automobile crashes and traffic-related deaths on our roadways and keep our community safe. Yet no matter what the cause of an automobile crash may be, the facts remain that the majority of crash-related deaths could have been prevented if only a seatbelt had been worn. With that in mind, our greatest enforcement effort this holiday weekend will be on seatbelt use. The Hendersonville Police Department today joins with all other law enforcement agencies in this great state of Tennessee in conducting a combined effort to make a difference in saving lives and encouraging all of its citizens to use their seatbelts by participating in the Click It or Ticket campaign. This is especially important for me as it was just 2 weeks ago that I was called out and responded to an automobile crash in the city of Hendersonville that took the lives of 2 young men. Both of these men were in the same vehicle. There were no other cars involved, and neither of them were wearing a seatbelt. The investigation of this crash indicates that the use of seatbelts could have prevented their deaths. And during the previous year in Hendersonville, we investigated just one death-related automobile crash in which we lost the life of another young man. And our investigation of this incident also led us to determine that his death too could have been prevented had he been wearing a seatbelt. You see, while the automobile manufacturers design their vehicles with features to protect the occupants during a crash, these features can only be successful if the occupant is restrained in place by using their seatbelt. The use of seatbelt by motorists in Tennessee is mandatory, and while some of our motoring public may see this as an inconvenience, I hope that we can change their minds. The use of a seatbelt is not an inconvenience. It is a life-saving choice that they should be happy to make and use each time they get into their car. We may not be able to stop all of the crashes, but we can prevent more deaths in these crashes if we concentrate our efforts on seatbelt use. So please remember, when you get in your vehicle this weekend, put on your seatbelt, not just because it's the law, because it can also save your life. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Daniel. Robertson County is very unique. One reason it's unique is because its sheriff's department puts a big focus on those who wear their seatbelts and those who don't. It also focuses on those who tend to violate the law because they drive impaired. From the time I walked into the Robertson County Sheriff's Department, I knew that it was unique and I knew that it had good leadership. And that's the thing that stands out in my mind today. And I just, before I introduce him, want to say thank you to Sheriff Bill Hope for being so proactive as a Sheriff's Department, because they do all they can to make a difference in Springfield and Robertson County. At this time, I want to introduce to you Sheriff Bill Hope, Robertson County Sheriff's Department.
Thank you, Tony. Thank y'all, everybody, for being here. Special thanks to Megan and Brandon, and we share your pain, and we're dedicated to do the best we can to make sure that the same thing doesn't happen to someone else. Here in Robertson County, we pride ourselves in joint law enforcement. There's never enough of us to go around. We thank the Governor's Safety Highway Department for being able to give us grants, which enables us to put more cars on the road in an overtime situation, to focus especially on the seat belts and the speeding and the impaired drivers. And this also applies at nighttime. People think that they might be able to get by, but our officers are trained pretty well to check and see and identify and know who's not wearing that seatbelt. So sometimes it's an inconvenience to the public in getting stopped. The thing they fail to realize is that the life they save and we save may be their own. And it gets annoying to them every now and then getting stopped and getting a warning ticket. We're trying to do a reminder, make all of Tennessee, and most particular Robertson County and Springfield and the other cities, a safer place to raise our families and to drive on the highways. As you heard today, merely going to Walmart and going home, you never know what you may confront. And the individual who is not obeying the law, that we're trying to look after them the best we can and try and make a difference there. Thank everybody for being here today, and I just want to say that this afternoon we appreciate the Blitz effort, and it's going to be kicked off here in Robertson County tonight. There'll be an extra number of officers, and they'll be out everywhere. We've got a couple of roadblocks later on tonight, so we're going to be looking and try and make the kickoff for the Memorial Day weekend a little bit different here. And we caution everybody, please obey all of the traffic laws, the seat belts. You never know, again, when it may be somebody else, not you. And if you're wearing your seat belt, you have no way of knowing when somebody else is going to violate the law or be involved in an accident, which may just truly be an accident. And merely having that seat belt on may be the very thing that saves you serious damage and even your life. Thank you again for being here today in Robertson County. Appreciate your patience with all of the officers as they go about making these stops tonight and every night. You know, we have the move over law, and we wind up having officers hurt every year because somebody, they're out doing their job, trying to take a DUI or an impaired driver off the road, and then somebody else comes along and kills an officer. So please be safe and enjoy the weekend.
Thank you, Sheriff Hope. In closing, today's been kind of bittersweet. I've heard it said many times, we never know the lives we save. But then as I hear from Megan, I think maybe somewhere along the way, we encouraged Megan to wear a seatbelt or put 2-week-old Emmett in a child safety seat. We never know the lives we save, but that's just more motivation for us to do a better job at making the highway safe. Our goal as we begin this Click It or Ticket campaign is for you and your family to arrive safely at their destination. It's not about how many tickets we can write, but an endeavor to save lives through enforcement efforts. We cannot bring back lives that have been lost, but every impaired driver that we can get off the road and every person that we can encourage to wear their seatbelt makes a lot better chance that there will be seats full around the dinner table in the weeks to come. You'll do a lot of things over this Memorial Day weekend. I want to encourage you to make safe, responsible driving a priority. The law enforcement officers here and across the state of Tennessee will sacrifice their holiday time to see to it that you get to spend yours safely. And I appreciate all of you for that today. Thank you very much for the commitment that you will make. And thank Megan and Brandon so much, and little 2-week-old Emmett who's around here. We're so thankful for them today and their commitment. That concludes our press event today. Once again, thank you for being here. If you have any questions for anyone, we'll be around. And once again, thank you.
The Robertson County Funeral Home has been serving families for a quarter century. When it's time to celebrate and remember, to honor in loving memory, the Robertson County Funeral Home.